All right, here we are for round number one. We're playing against one-man army. Unfortunately, I do have to mulligan this hand. If I had a second land, I would probably keep that, but can't just keep one land hands with this deck. Keep this. False Summoning is pretty good against most decks. I think I'll keep that on top. I only regret it if I'm playing the mirror, and I maybe should have checked to see if my opponent had 100 cards. Okay, Quarian Ranger. If this is Stompy, it's our worst matchup by far, and I should have maybe been looking for removal instead of this false summoning. Being on the draw means we're huge dog to win this game. It's incredibly difficult to win on the draw. Looks like we're getting hit with some Pit Skulks probably. Or maybe a Burning Tree Emissary. What do they have? Nettle Sentinel. That's interesting. They must have drawn that, otherwise they should have just probably cast that last turn. So let's go ahead. I'm going to grab a Swamp here. I know I can't cast my Counterspell right now, but I do want to have removal up. So here's an interesting decision, and this is something I think a lot of people mess up. People will decide they don't want to take the damage, and maybe they'll Doomblade the Nettle Sentinel even on my own turn. But what's really important is to get to make your false summoning worth a spell. So I need to make sure that I counter something with it, because if I just use my Doomblades, so I just Doomblade this stuff, then suddenly I'm left with false summoning and they've got like 3 or 4 creatures on the board and I've got nothing left. So it's better to take a little hit damage here and make sure that you can keep another creature off the board. So this false summoning was basically Doomblade and like take 2 damage, which isn't great. And I'm like, okay, I didn't get hit there with anything too bad. Gonna play the Lonely Sandbar. My opponent must be really short on creatures and just have a lot of pump spells or something, because I can't imagine not casting another creature there. So if my opponent does nothing, I'll probably think twice. I think. If my opponent casts a creature, I'll probably Doomblade something. Quarian Ranger, okay. That's not the most scary. The reason I kind of want to think twice this turn, if I can, is that if I play this Radiant Fountain next turn, I'll be able to Doomblade plus hold up Counterspell. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, Innocent Blood is a nice one. And obviously Evankar's Justice is a nice one too. I don't want to give my opponent too easy of a chance to play their Hunger of the Hellpack yet. I'll do it later. If I'm lucky, this will be a Rancor. Oh yes. Get God, opponent. My opponent's pretty obviously been holding up Vines of the Vastwood this whole game. Or at least a pump spell. I really thought it would be Vines, but I guess it wasn't. Alright, well, we got our opponent pretty good there. And I've still got this Counterspell up. This is why I wanted to play the Think Twice last turn. You can see now, like, I could Doomblade that and hold up Counterspell to protect my Doomblade from a Vines of the Vastwood. So, see what my opponent has here. Hunger of the Hellpack. I kind of figured they would have something like that. Let's just go ahead and counter that. That's a lot of power. I think they probably have another one. Yep. So I need to draw another swamp, and then we should be in pretty good shape. But you never know. Or if I draw, even if I draw like a Capsize or a Repeal, put this back on top, that would work too. Doomblade would work. Got some decent draws. Pieces of the Puzzle is only okay. I will cast it, I think. It's better than casting Think Twice. I'm not sure though. Hopefully we're not dead next turn. I'd really like to find another removal spell. Definitely did not find anything good. I think I'm going to take the Cower in Fear and a Think Twice. Yeah, I think we're going to lose this game, despite kind of getting our opponent there. I guess I will play this Innocent Blood right now. Unfortunately now, like, I can't use the Cower in Fear to kill this, but it is what it is. I might die this turn. If I don't die this turn, I'll be able to Crypt Incursion and stay alive for like another turn. But if they have 2 pump spells, I am dead here. See what they have. I assume they're going to pump a little bit here. But if they don't have lethal, it's possible they should just hold it. Or what am I hoping they have? I'm hoping they have nothing, obviously. I do have to decide what I'm going to do if I don't draw a land here. Burning Tree Emissary. Alright, that's not great for me. What's my opponent's last card here? So I really need to draw land. Okay, so now I can at least think twice and cast Crypt Incursion. We're still in pretty bad shape, but we aren't dead this turn. I'm getting 9 life. I don't think that they won't be able to pump that much. I made a little mistake there. I think I should have probably cast the Think Twice before. It's also possible I should have taken that Logic Knot instead of the Cower in Fear. Logic Knot is looking much better here than this Cower in Fear. I could just... oh no, I can't even cast the Cower in Fear. Okay. So like now I would have the option to... I'd have the option to have Logic Knot up here instead of this. So I think I made a mistake on that turn earlier with the pieces of the puzzle. Another Pit Skulk, okay. So I need to draw a swamp here. Need my opponent to have a land in hand. I do get 2 draws at it, and I could draw an Ash Barrens too, would also work. But I need to draw a swamp to stay alive pretty much. Innocent Blood not going to do it. Well, I'm not definitely dead, but I'm pretty much definitely dead. Let's go ahead and just play this. So I need them to have, my opponent to have nothing. Okay, looks like I died now. I'll cast Think Twice just in case, but they drew another Hunger of the Hell Pack. That's a pretty good card against us. Unfortunately, since we have to kill everything all the time. So I always bring in all the cheap stuff against this deck, even the bad cheap stuff. So I bring in the Relics, the Dispels, the Shrivels, the Duresses. So I've just got too much stuff that's too expensive. So I take out some of these pieces, I take out the Capsize, the Fairy Trickery, take out the Perplex, don't really have time to mess around with that. I take out the Whispers of the Muse. And I do leave in the Repeal. What else do I take out? I think I take out Deprive. And that's all I want to take out for sure. So I got to find 2 more cuts. It could just be the Repeal, but it is kind of nice to repeal a Young Wolf. Let's see. Probably should cut 1 Teachings. Just too expensive. And then I guess maybe I'll cut 1 Relic. It's a tough decision if I want to. I think I'll cut the Dispel actually. I think the Duress is better than the Dispel. No, Dispel's probably better than Duress. They're all probably both better than Relic, so take out the Relic. I don't like having to pop my own graveyard, so would I like to play first? Yes, I would. Sand seems fine. I've got 2 removal spells. I've got this Logic Knot that I can't even cast. So I think there, if I had taken the... I probably wouldn't have won the game if I had taken the Logic Knot instead of the Cower in Fear, but it would have been a closer game. Like, I would have been able to counter that thing at the end. See, my opponent's got it. Do they have a Young Wolf? Yep. Best possible card in the matchup, unfortunately for me. But that's okay. It's a pretty slow clock, and if my opponent wants to Rancor it, then I can try to kill it, and it's not quite so bad. Hopefully my opponent plays 4 Burning Tree Emissaries this turn, and then a Rancor on the Young Wolf. Then I Agony Warp the Young Wolf, and then I Echoing Decay the Burning Tree Emissaries on my turn. And we're good to go and have it all wrapped up. Or like double Pit Skulk would be fine too. I wouldn't mind seeing a double Pit Skulk. Double Nettle Sentinel maybe. Double anything. Pit Skulk. Come on, one more Pit Skulk. Nothing, huh? Well, let's go ahead and brainstorm. Alright, some stuff that's okay. I'd like to get rid of this Logic Knot, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna be able to do that, so I don't think I can take a turn to yeah, I can't take a turn to get rid of it really. Let's go ahead and play this Relic. Alright, so now I can actually kill that Young Wolf at some point, probably. I think if my opponent tries to put a Rancor, I think I would have repealed. Let's see what my opponent does. If they just pass, I think I'll repeal the Young Wolf, maybe. Maybe I'll repeal the Pit Skulk. Let's see what they've got here. Vault Scourge. Vault Scourge is like one of the least scary ones. Yeah, let's go ahead and repeal the Pit Skulk. See if my opponent vines to save it. Did not. Alright. So I do have a counterspell now that I can actually cast. My opponent's clock is pretty slow so far. Been pretty tentative about deploying their threats, which is fine by me. Probably exclude the Pit Skulk if he plays it. Yep. We'll see, I might have gotten baited there. Maybe my opponent has another land, is going to play a bunch of stuff. Quarian Ranger, okay. So what I really need is a Shrivel here. Shrivel would kill all these things. See what else my opponent casts this turn. My guess would be nothing and hold up a pump spell. Interesting. Playing right into Disfigure. Well, okay. So Shrivel would be amazing here. Avant-Garde Justice wouldn't be quite as amazing. But if I draw a Shrivel here, I'll probably win the game. Just outright. Okay. Pristine Talisman is not... That's not what that is. Let's go ahead and play the Pristine Talisman. And then... Gonna Echoing Decay the Young Wolf. Get it off the table. We'll see if this works. Okay, so my opponent didn't have a mutagenic growth. Or maybe my opponent did and is gonna use it right now. Nope. Alright, so that's good. It's always nice to get the creatures killed when your opponent can't actually can't hunger of the Hell Pack. Alright, what's my opponent going to do? They've got free reign this turn. So hopefully I draw an island or I draw another removal spell. Avant-Garde Justice would be insane this turn. Chainer's Edict is pretty good. It's not exactly what I want, but it's a pretty decent card here. So let's go ahead and... Yeah, let's Chainer's Edict my opponent. So if he sacks the Vault Scourge, I'm okay popping my Relic to get rid of the Rancor here. It does make my Logic Knot a lot worse, but it is what it is. So the unfortunate thing here is this Agony Warp cost me blue, and I can't Logic Knot and Agony Warp. Okay. They decide what they want to do. They want to do that. All right. Well, I think I'm going to play pieces of the puzzle then. Hopefully I can find... Yeah, these are some nice ones. I think I'll take... What do I want here? This is a tough call. So I think I'm going to take the Devour Flesh and the... Dispel, actually. Yeah. It does feel kind of bad to put the Avant-Garde Justice in the graveyard, but I suspect my opponent has at least one Hunger of the Hell pack here. And I think I'm just going to Dispel it. Because I don't want to cast Agony Warp and get blown out by another Hunger or like any other pump spell. So that's my logic there. I assume, okay, my opponent only had the one. So that's not too bad. So I don't know exactly what I'm hoping my opponent has here. I think I have enough to flashback this Chainers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I've got 7 here. My opponent could not quite kill me this turn, I don't think. Let's see what they have. Just Divines. So that's 9, but that's not quite enough. I mean, I go to 1 if they have another pump spell, but I don't think they have anything they could cast this turn that gives +3. This is interesting since they know I have this Devour Flesh. So let's see, if they have a creature here... Okay, they don't have a creature, I pretty much just win. No, I need another blue source. Okay. Crypt Incursion is not very good here. So I think I'll stop in their upkeep. This is a tough call. Yeah, I think I'll stop in their upkeep because if I... This Agony Warp's probably not going to actually resolve, but... Let's see, what do I want to get rid of? That one and that one. So even if they have a pump spell here... Okay. Yeah. See what my opponent has going on. They know I have this Devour Flesh. If my opponent does nothing this turn, if they don't cast any creatures, Quarian Ranger, that's a tough call. I think I'm going to go ahead and Devour Flesh the Vault Scourge, and then I'll crack my Relic to get rid of the Rancor. It is unfortunate now I lose my Crypt Incursion stuff, and I lose my Chainer's Edict. Actually, that's so bad that I don't really want to do it. Yeah. Okay, I was getting a little too crazy. I don't want to lose my Chainer's Edict. Hopefully this is a pump spell. Yep. Okay, I kind of figured that might be what they have. That's an interesting play when my opponent just knows for a fact that I have this Chainer's Edict in my graveyard. So I didn't draw another land, or I didn't draw an untapped land. So I can't actually get rid of this Rancor. Yeah, so it's possible I should have not been relicking everything, and I could have gotten more out of my Crypt Incursion or something, but I had to get rid of that Young Wolf earlier. Okay, they didn't draw a creature, so we probably are going to win this one, I would guess. But I do need to draw some kind of action at some point here. That was a close one. We could have definitely lost this game. We can still lose it if we brick for like, if we brick like 3, 4, 5 turns in a row and my opponent draws a couple creatures in a row, we could definitely still lose this game. I think my opponent, that turn that I killed stuff on my, like when I dispelled the, yeah, when I dispelled my opponent's Hunger of the Hell Pack, if they had just played their, I think they had another Hunger of the Hell Pack, but they were afraid of Disfigure. So, because they could have definitely, they either had a Disfigure or a Vines, and casting either one of those would have won them the game, I think, the next turn, since they top decked the other one. Be an interesting turn to go back to and look at. At some point I'm probably going to want to crack this Relic, I guess, to just draw a card, but we got a couple answers to creatures in my hand, and I'll just sit around for a little while. No reason for me to commit anything. I assume my opponent is going to like spew off a bunch of creatures all at once. River Boa, I'm okay with. I've got plenty of answers to a River Boa. So I'll disfigure it. It's possible I should have just used the Cower in Fear, but I kind of think I'm going to have to use both anyway, so... Yep. Yoink. I'd rather hold these counter spells. Now that my opponent has nothing in play at all, I'd rather just hold the counter spells here. My opponent's kind of using an insane amount of time. This is game 1 and they're halfway through their clock. Alright, I don't really want to shuffle any of this stuff away, I don't think. So let's go ahead and just do that. If I need another counterspell, I can crack the Relic here. Oh, I didn't leave up enough blue for double counterspell. That was a mistake. That could cost me the game, but I don't think it will. Alrighty. So we're gaining 3 life a turn. Gonna be tough for my opponent to overcome that. So ideally my opponent won't concede for like a long time, and I'll just win. I'm gonna hold this Ash Barrens. I don't really need it in play at all. And if I draw a Brainstorm, I might want to shuffle some stuff. Fortunately, I don't have any removal, so I do have to just kind of like counter all these things. Let's go ahead and use Logic Knot. I'm not counting, I'm just gonna like do a lot. Okay. Or is this is game 2, this isn't game 1, isn't it? Yeah, I already sideboarded, I think. Let's look. Yeah, okay. So this is game 2, not game 1. So our opponent does have plenty of time still. And the thing is, the games they win are going to only take them a couple minutes, and the games they lose are going to take a lot longer. Think Twice is a great draw. I should just go ahead and cast it. So I can play this Sweet Bajuka Bog on my opponent. No cards in your graveyard. A Relic, huh? I don't care about a Relic. I don't think this card should be in most people's like aggressive decks. Like, what are you exiling my Think Twice? I don't get it. Like, you're trying to kill me before anything in my graveyard matters. I mean, it's kind of nice against Crypt Incursion, I guess, but that isn't that important. And you can see how little I care about it because I'm just not even countering it. See, yeah, even I'll go ahead and shuffle this Ash Barrens now. I want more land because this Relic means that I might have to cast and flashback Mystical Teachings in the same turn, plus cast the spell that I get with it. So I'm going to counter anything that doesn't die to Innocent Blood. And I might let stuff resolve that does die to Innocent Blood. Nettle Sentinel dies to Innocent Blood, so that can resolve. Alright. It also dies to Echoing Decay. Honestly, I don't even care if my opponent has the Nettle Sentinel in play, so I'm actually going to let him keep it. 2 damage a turn is not enough, and it actually forces my opponent to cast a spell every turn, which I want my opponent to do, kind of. So let's see if this is the Rancor. Yeah. So let's go ahead and try to get rid of that Rancor, I guess. Got 1 Echoing Decay. Opponent's got a Vines. Just prohibit the Vines. Even if all this stuff resolves, that's okay. I can just Innocent Blood the Nettle Sentinel away and pop the Relic to get rid of the Rancor. See what else my opponent has here. Taking some time to decide, of course. Alright, they let that resolve. They're going to let their Nettle Sentinel untap trigger resolve. Pretty far ahead of my opponent on time. They're at about 9.5. I'm at 16. Yep. The untap resolved. How about Echoing Decay? Is that going to resolve? Another Vines, huh? Well, I'm okay with it. I don't want to waste my counterspell on something like this. They could just resolve something that I can't deal with, and then I could lose the game because I was just a little too greedy. I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for them to kill me. Like, I'm gaining 3 life a turn. Another Rancor is great for me. Very happy to see that. Hopefully my opponent plays yet another one. Yep, cool. So this will probably prompt a concession for my opponent when I get all of these Rancors with my Relic next turn. Guess I take 8. Not a problem. I'll exile one of your Vines for just good measure. Gain a life. Cast Innocent Blood. Alright, let's pop that. And I drew Teachings, so that's going to be game over. My opponent's pretty far behind on time, so I think I'll let them play for a while before I start going too crazy with the Teachings. So Relic was pretty decent there, Dispel pretty decent there. No reason for me to get anything with my Teachings right now. I don't need anything. Also, I get to preserve it as a nice little shuffle effect. Viridian Longbow. Man, talk about a spell I don't care about. Jeez. Alright, it's F6. So, I would recommend just turning off the video here. Actually, I'll just pause the recording and we'll be back for sideboarding. We'll see how much time my opponent has left. Okay, my opponent conceded almost immediately after that, so not a lot of, you guys didn't miss much. The Relic was really good there. I kind of want another one. Maybe I'll bring that in and take out one of my clunkier counter spells, like maybe this Exclude. Sure. Let's do it up. The unfortunate thing is now I'm gonna have to edit those 2 videos together now that I turned it off, but that's okay. So I think our opponent had... They still got a lot of time left on the clock, like at least 7 minutes, maybe more. I didn't really look. I was at 15, so I've got tons of time left. Plenty of time to win a game. I would say with this deck it takes me 9-ish minutes to win most of the time. Like if I have to make my opponent draw their whole deck, which does not happen against Stompy. Stompy, you can always justice them out unless you somehow lose all 4 justices. But yeah, it doesn't take me that long to win with this deck. I mean, 9 minutes is a long time, but the thing is, the games you lose are rarely very long. Like, you're not really losing games that took you... Any games that took you, like, 8 minutes to play, you probably won already. This hand is terrible. This is an easy mulligan. My opponent also mulliganed, which tempts me to keep, but can't keep a hand like that. I will keep this one. Crypt Incursion is really bad. Do not want that. To decide which land to play first. Quarian Ranger, okay. So I think I'm going to play the Evolving Wilds and use it to get an island. Disadvantage of doing this is if I played the Swamp, I could make my opponent think maybe I have Disfigure. If my opponent knows how I play, they would have known that I would have just disfigured this on my turn, but they might not know that. Yeah, so my opponent had a little over 7 minutes left. What am I getting hit with here? Trying to untap this forest. Oh, Pit Skulk. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine. I don't like it at all, but it is what it is. So I'm hoping they don't have another 2/2. It's usually a little risky to play your Quarian Ranger on your first turn if you're going to be playing, like if you don't have another land. But if you have a Pit Skulk, the upside is pretty high, so I can understand doing that. Yep. Goodbye, Evolving Wilds. I'm going to go ahead and grab an island here. Okay, I drew another island, which is not amazing. So if my opponent plays like a Rancor, I guess I'll just like Devour Flash or something. Otherwise, I'm probably going to search out an island, I think. That's kind of a tough call. Another Pit Skulk is pretty annoying. So the issues I have here is if I Devour Flesh and they have Hunger the Hell Pack, I can't do anything about it. So I'm going to go and get the island instead. I could have Devour Fleshed there and then it might have been better. Like maybe I can't beat a Hunger of the Hell Pack from my opponent. So I should have just Devour Fleshed there and then use this Swamp to get my island on this turn, and then I'd have Counterspell up. We'll see if that comes back to bite me. So my opponent will be hitting me for like 1 or 2 more each turn. Just 1 more each turn because of the Quarian Ranger. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win this game. We could possibly if I draw an Echoing Decay next turn, we'll probably win. Quarian Ranger, I think I'm just going to Counterspell that. I don't know. It doesn't really do anything. Yeah, all the ways I'm winning are like sweeping this stuff away, so I don't know if I really care about that one. If my opponent plays another 2-power creature, I will counter it. This is a Vault Scourge. I'll actually counter that one too. We'll see what happens here. I'm less convinced now that my opponent has a Hunger of the Hell Pack, which means I probably should have just cast Devour Flash earlier. Yeah. We're not in good shape here. I really pretty much needed to draw like Evankar's Justice right there on that turn or an Echoing Decay. Even a Shrivel would have probably done it too. But this like untargeted removal is not going to cut it here. Pretty much just have to Devour Flesh now. Guessing the Devour Flesh means that I'm on a 3-turn clock instead of a 2-turn clock. So let's see if they cast a Hunger. They didn't cast one. Opponent's down to 5 minutes, but unfortunately it only takes them about 2 minutes to kill me. Metal Sentinel I also have to counter. I need them to have nothing here. And then to draw Evankar's Justice or an Echoing Decay. Disfigure. Which figure? Disfigure. So let's go ahead and first let's go ahead and Bojuka Bog myself. I want to leave their creatures in their graveyard in case I draw a Crypt Incursion. Obviously I can't do anything if they save it. I'm not technically dead, even if they save it, but I'm pretty much dead. Okay, kicked Vines. Alright, I'm at 1, so I can't draw... I don't think I can draw anything that can make me live. I can get pieces of the puzzle into Echoing Decay plus Disfigure. I think is my only out. And I need them to have nothing. Okay. I should have maybe waited to do that. Like if I just cast Crypt Incursion there, I could have come out ahead. Oh, they have another relic. I should have probably played that before the... Oh, they didn't have it, I don't think. They're going to crack it trying to look for Mutagenic. Doesn't look like it. Alright, so I'm going to thin here with the Ash Barrens and hope to find exactly what I need. Grab an island. Pretty unreasonable sequence here. So we're also getting maybe burned a little bit, like if we had been playing a smaller deck, we wouldn't have necessarily had all these tap lands. Or we would have had some like life gain lands of some kind. Let's Doomblade that guy. Play an island. See what my opponent does. If they forget to attack me. So unfortunately, I got a little too far ahead of my opponent last game, I think, and then they conceded to it like sooner than I would have liked if I was attempting to time them out. All right, they got us. So this is the worst matchup for the deck. It's bad for every Teachings deck, so I don't know if necessarily this is worse because we're playing 100 cards. You could argue that it makes us a little less likely to draw the cards we want, but at the same time, I'm actually just playing more. Like I'm playing 4 Evankar's Justice instead of 2, and I'm playing, after sideboard, 4 Echoing Decay, I think, too. So those are the cards you want most against this deck, and I think my chances of drawing them are about the same as a normal Teachings deck. So not off to a great start, but it is what it is. Time for round number 2.